So when I first started dealing with money and I first started to try to basically become financially free, I was very strict with myself. I had a budget in the sense that every single dollar needed to be accounted for. I could not go beyond that. And I was cheap, guys. I was super cheap to the point where it was just kind of insane, okay? But that's a sacrifice I chose to make. Now today, it's kind of strange, but I rarely actually carry around, for example, a little notebook or have like this very strict budget. I really don't have any of that stuff because I learned these 5 little rules to actually help me maintain everything I have without risking losing everything I have. Now, I learned this very valuable lesson is basically what it takes to build something and what it takes to maintain it are 2 very different things. As far as, for example, money, effort, and energy. It's just common sense, right? The amount of energy it takes to build a building and the amount of energy it takes to actually maintain the building are vastly different, right? It's just common sense. You know, to be able to train, to get muscle, to run further, I needed to train a lot, right? But to be able to maintain my muscle and my running stability or fitness, the answer is it doesn't really take that much anymore because I'm already solid. I just need to basically keep up and maintain. And as long as I don't go crazy, I'm going to be just fine. So in this video, it's me telling you exactly 5 principles that I live by in order to basically not have to budget like crazy and not have to be that dramatic about every single dollar I spend. Now, as always, guys, like this video and top out, also subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified. Now, the very first one off the bat is going to be, I live by this very simple principle. It's basically never spend more than you make. That is it. Don't spend more than you make. Now, me personally, I'm a percentage guy. If you want to be an average person, don't spend more than 90%. If you want to be a little better than the average person, make it 70% is your limit. And if you want to be crazy insane like I am, and most of the long-term people here on this channel, do less than 50%, okay? That is a big sacrifice, okay? But if you do that, you'll be able to get to your goals a lot further or faster as far as, for example, financial freedom. Now, for me personally today, I spend about 20% of my income, and that is enough. I don't want to spend more. I don't have to spend more. It's more than I actually need overall. Now, this Christmas, I spent about 70% because I wanted to buy gifts. But the last time I did that was like a decade ago, okay? So it's like, remember, it's okay to mess up every now and then, but if you make that a lifestyle, that's a problem. So yeah, 20% is my rule, but every now and then, every other decade or so, I might do something a little bit more, all right? Now, here's why I do this, okay? The answer is, I realized something. When I was making 1K per month, the answer was I was living paycheck to paycheck. Now, when I made 2K per month, I was still living paycheck to paycheck. I quickly realized the money wasn't going to fix anything. I needed to fix my spending habits. And the problem is, the more money you make, most people just spend more money. And I needed to fix that. So what I did was basically, I started to limit the amount of money I spent by making a rule of, I do not want to spend more than this of my income. The rest of it, I want to use it to build me a solid foundation as far as financial freedom. Now, a quick way to figure out exactly how to actually manage this is basically just use what I call, for example, SLS, which is basically what is your survive budget, okay? What is your shelter, utilities, groceries, transportation, and calculate exactly what those expenses are. And if you want to, you can basically limit your lifestyle just to that. Then you have, for example, the L, which basically live. You want to be comfortable. So what does that budget look like? And then S is thrive. What does your thrive budget look like? And obviously, if you choose to have a fancy lifestyle like the thrive budget, the answer is it's going to take you longer to pay off debt, and take you longer to actually be financially free. But it's up to you and what works best for you. I have a full course on this. The link is down below. But for me, I was using the basically survive budget for a very long time so I can get to thrive a lot faster. That's the core idea. So the way you use this is calculate exactly what your core expenses are and then make that your limit. All the money that comes in after that, use it first to pay off debt, second to save for emergencies, and third, start investing and pay off a home early using the 30% rule that I talk about on this channel. Now, number 2, guys, is I rely on systems. I don't rely on willpower. And the answer is very simple to why I do this. It's because I don't trust myself, okay? It's that simple. And here's why I don't trust myself. Because I know if I'm left alone to all of my desires, what I would want to do is spend the money on a lot of trash. Now, obviously, I've changed as a person. So I know I have willpower. I know I have my goals together, I have my life together. But overall, I never want to give myself the opportunity to make mistakes per se. In the sense of like, if I can build a system to help me automate my finances, that's a lot better than relying on myself to make these decisions over and over again. And at a certain point, I might be tired. I might be exhausted. Today I'm fine, but what about tomorrow when I saw like a new this or a new that, and now I want to buy that? The answer is systems make the whole thing better. So what is the system I'm talking about? You know, before, what I used to do is basically I had 6 different envelopes, and whenever I got paid, I would put them in those envelopes. I had an envelope, for example, for emergencies, for debt, for investments, for expenses, for charity, and for fun. The money was separated in there, so I knew every dollar had a different name, a different account, different reason for having it. That system worked great for me. But then I said, I want to do it automatically. So I got, for example, a debit card just for my expenses, my core expenses, a debit card just for my fun. And also I made my investments automatic. I paid off all my debt. I have a fully funded emergency on a separate account. The answer is by doing this stuff, everything is automatic. So I don't have to, for example, use willpower. I know the money I have in my fun account, I can use it for whatever I want. That's why it's there. I know the money I have, for example, my expenses to buy groceries, that's my budget, that's my limit. If I run out, I was responsible. So there are consequences, okay? That's the idea. So focus on systems. Focus on systems. You know, I don't have to wait until the end of the month to invest, because whenever I get paid, I invest right there automatically. So this way you're not relying on yourself. And by the way, I kind of take that back. I actually do trust myself a lot because I've come a long way. But I definitely did not trust that 19-year-old kid that wanted to buy a pair of Jordans every single day. But the point is, I still want to make because I trust myself, I respect myself, I still want to make things as easy as possible for me to make the right decisions, okay? I don't want to put hurdles in my way. If that makes sense, comment down below, you get it, okay? But create an automatic system. Create automatic investments. When you get paid, automatically pay your credit cards right then and there. Try to pay them off. Stop using them. Just make it easier. Make systems. Systems work best. Habits are awesome. Willpower is limited. Remember that. Now, number 3 is, guys, focus on habits, like the core habit, okay? Now, I know people with 40, 50 habits and they have all this other stuff they're doing, but at the core level, my only habit that I want to kind of do is endurance. And I put something different in this video, which is basically focused, but I think is endurance. To be able to endure and do the right thing over and over again. To be able to keep investing. To be able to stay out of debt. To be able to do things the right way for a long, long time until the game is basically over. Endurance is the name of the game, and that's the habit I want to fortify. To not give up. But focus is also super important, right? To be able to say, I'm going to focus right here, and I'm going to do that. So that's a very core principle, which is basically endurance plus focus. You don't need to have 1,000 things happening in your finances. At the end of the day, it's just a few core principles like, hey, I know exactly what I can afford to buy. I know what I can't afford to buy. And I know, for example, there's this itch I get personally, maybe you get it too, so I'll share it with you guys. But if I'm going to make a decision and I have to think about several different ways to be able to afford it, it means I can't afford it. If I'm thinking about, like, you know what, there's this home I want to buy, it's X amount of money, and I'm thinking like, well, if I sell this and if I do this and I do that, it's too many questions, okay? If I'm having to buy something and then I instantly regret it, probably a mistake. So the answer is, you know, once you have your core habit, which is basically focus on endurance, you get things straight. Just focus on the mission. Financial freedom is the mission. Anything that gets in the way of that is the enemy. But I will say this, enjoy the ride, okay? It's not to say don't be super strict, cheap, be able to actually enjoy the ride. And that's why there's an envelope in there or an account in there for fun, right? So you can actually have fun and enjoy the ride while you're actually getting to the goal. Now, the 4th strategy I basically use, so I don't have to use a budget, is I limit my access to capital by having different debit cards for different reasons. So most of the times I might use a credit card, usually, I'm being honest here, like twice a year. And it's usually because something might pop up. Like this year, I was buying stuff for my house that was basically remodeling, and I lost my debit card, and I needed to use a credit card because I didn't have any money because my debit card had the money in it. Okay, so I had to use a credit card. I paid it off right there before the month was even over. And then, for example, here in the Dominican Republic, I wasn't using my debit card because it was giving me, like, I didn't know how to use it. Like, there's this trick. Okay, whenever you're paying in a foreign place, pay in their currency, because if you use your currency, their converted version is different and they charge you to a different price. So use their currency. So I pay in pesos now with my debit card, fine. Before that, I was using my credit card because I thought it was in a better conversion rate, but in reality, I really wasn't. So I was getting the same thing with the debit card and credit card. So I'm not using it anymore. But for most of the year, I am credit free. And here's why, okay? You think about it, okay? If your limit for fun is 500 bucks per month, and you have access to a $20,000 credit limit or $10,000 or $1,000 credit limit, the answer is you have the ability to make those mistakes. So the reason I use debit cards personally and I stay away, for example, from having access to more capital than I need is because if I use a debit card and cash, I feel pain. I cannot spend more than I have. And lastly, you can't go into debt, right? If you use a debit card, you can't go into debt. So it's, again, I know myself, I trust myself, but I want to make it easier so I don't screw up, okay? That's the core idea. Limit your access to capital. Now, number 5, guys, is basically you want to have your goals at the front side, okay? I don't know how to say, but you want to just pay attention to your goal in a sense. But when people ask me, tell me, how is all this stuff going for you? You know, like Jim Rohn says, okay, it's going great, but don't watch me too closely because every now and then I also mess up. You know, this Black Friday, I bought a lot of clothes. I bought a new phone, by the way. I bought an iPhone. The last phone that I bought, this is the iPhone 14, by the way. I had the iPhone X. The last time I bought a phone, it was like 4 or 5 years ago, really. Okay, so the point is, it's okay to deviate from the plan every now and then, but stay focused on the overall goal. And my goals are pretty simple. I want to have enough money to cover my core expenses. That's done. I want to have money to basically cover my living expenses, like, you know, live comfortably. That's almost done. And then when I have money to basically thrive, that's the idea. But on the way to this goal, which might take me a few more years, the answer is you also want to enjoy life, okay? So when I say 20% of my income, that includes, for example, my expenses, but it also has money in there for fun and so on. So that way, I can be able to, you know, go on dinners and have fun with my friends and so on, because this way you get to enjoy the ride. Before, I was super strict. I have a super strict budget, and I was like, I can't buy this because it's out of the budget, okay? I can't do this, okay? And a budget is liberating in the sense that a budget is your plan. It is your, how do I say this it's your Google Maps, okay? It tells you how to get to where you're going. It helps you. But you decide your budget and you try to make it the best budget possible to help you achieve the goal. And only you can do that because only you know yourself. So I know if I'm able to basically cover my expenses, have some money for fun, I'm able to basically stay strong and go further than the other person that's super strict and might break at any time and go on some crazy spend and splurge, okay? That's the idea, guys. That's it for this video. Comment down below budget so I know you made it all the way to the end of the video. But again, in the beginning, it is okay to be strict with yourself. It's okay to focus on building the habits, to have a crazy budget. It's okay in the beginning because at first you want to basically start the formula. It's just to reprogram your brain. But then after, you start to kind of like plan automation. You have your core goals in mind. You know what you can do, what you can't do. You limit your access to your capital. This way you create like a lifestyle where you're not, for example, endangering yourself. When you go in my wallet, you see a debit card. That's it. If I want to have fun, I have fun, but I'm not spending a crazy amount of money on it. That is it. Not that complicated. Keep it simple at all times. As always, guys, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. Any questions, comment down below. Up here is another video. Over here is my Facebook, Instagram. And as always, long-term team officially out.